Hey everyone, my name is Wedge and Happy New Year. Today we're going to count down from 5 to 1 the most impactful cards in Standard introduced in 2013. Remember, this list does not include reprints like Mutavault or Thoughtseize. It also only includes Gatecrash, Dragon's Maze, M14, and Theros, so no Return to Ravnica. Lastly, we pick cards for this top 5 that change Standard in a fundamental way. Keep that in mind while watching. Coming in at number 5 is Master of Waves. Pretty much everyone guessed he was going to be on this list somewhere, and you were right. Master of Waves single-handedly changed the meta at Pro Tour Theros when Mono Blue Devotion took 3 of the top 8 places out of nowhere. This wouldn't have been possible without this Merfolk Wizard. Protection from red gives him so much needed protection, and the board position he creates for a blue deck is unmatched. For the record, blue is supposed to have the weakest creatures of any color. That's how it's supposed to be. Master of Waves spits in the face of everyone who underestimated blue aggro. Much like Dominated giving green-red something it hadn't had before, Master of Waves does something similar for blue. Mono blue decks aren't supposed to be able to race other aggressive decks on the ground. They just aren't. With the exception of illusion decks back when 2012 Core Set was still in play, this is extremely rare. Not only is this strategy viable, but it's tier 1 and dominant. Earning our number 4 spot is a card a lot of you guessed would be here. Hero's Downfall has taken Standard by storm and become the removal of choice in any deck that can create black mana. The instant speed version of Dreadbore, while costing more mana, is perfectly placed in this meta as a mono black kill spell. It's also an instant this time around, which is nice. Planeswalkers are extremely powerful right now. Dominated alone deserves Hero's Downfall to be played against him. The reason this card is on this list is because without it, Mono Black Devotion, Esper Control, Black Green Midrange, Black Green Aggro, and anything else that happens to run black would be severely handicapped in their removal department. Doomblade isn't what it used to be. Hero's Downfall is positioned perfectly to stay relevant for a long time. Killing both creatures and planeswalkers, this card is the ultimate answer to the meta right now, and that's why it makes the list. Guaranteed value every time. On to the top 3. When reading the comments, you guys managed to guess all 3 pretty often, so there shouldn't be any surprises here. At number 3, we have Elspeth, Sun's Champion. In conjunction with Jace, Architect of Thought, Elspeth has completely taken over the control meta. No matter what kind of control deck you're running, it has to be white because you have to play Elspeth. She's become so powerful that Aetherling is being taken out of decks as a win condition. These strategies are running 0 creatures because of Elspeth. While costing 6 mana, her immediate board presence and dangerous amount of impact over the long game makes her the perfect win condition for control decks. We've seen blue-white and blue-white-black control decks popping up more and more and finishing better and better. Many pilots, including the pros, credit the pair of Elspeth and Jace as their reasons for winning. Theros is a meta that's defined by aggressive strategies. In that world, the fact that one planeswalker can make an extremely slow control deck viable is amazing. Yes, there are amazing support spells in Sphinx's Revelation and Supreme Verdict, but those don't win the game. Elspeth hits the table and she wins. A lot. Voice of Resurgence takes our number 2 spot. This was an obvious inclusion. The raw power level of Voice is unmatched by any card like it. The board presence it creates and the disruption it provides against control decks is just plain overwhelming. From the release of Dragon's Maze, Voice has been in Pro Tour top 8 decks, SCG top 8 decks, and Grand Prix top 8 decks. There's no denying the card is strong. Voice deserves the number 2 spot on our list because by itself, it made creature-heavy decks even more potent in control matchups. Not even including counters, the value of kill spells is severely diminished when Voice is in play. You either force your opponent to kill something on their own turn, or you force them into giving you a creature that is potentially much larger than the Voice itself. The strength in this card lies in its versatility. In addition to being very strong against removal and counters, it hoses other aggro decks that are trying to use combat tricks during your attack phases. In an aggro v aggro matchup, one of 2 things happens. Either one deck assumes the control role and backs off, or you both go completely crazy and play everything and hope to win by bashing as hard as you possibly can. Knowing that your opponent cannot play a burn spell or combat trick during your combat phase is golden. If they want to do that, you'll be getting another creature they have to deal with. Aggro decks don't want to give you more creatures. It's a lose-lose situation. Voice is a perfect example of an impactful card. Standard wouldn't be the same without it. Here it is, folks, the moment you've all been waiting for. By the time we've gotten through this list, I'm sure many of you are saying the name of a card over and over in your head because you're positive that card has to be number 1. From reading the comments, most of you are going to be right. I present to you the most impactful card in Standard printed in 2013, Boros Reckoner. By now, everyone knows what this Minotaur does. Boris Reckoner began his domination in Standard as soon as possible. Pro Tour Gatecrash Top 8 had 16 copies of Boros Reckoner. The card had been out for a day. It was utilized in both aggressive and control strategies. That's how powerful it was. Since then, the card hasn't lost any value. Through Dragon's Maze and M14, the Reckoner has seen consistent play in aggressive strategies in red-white decks, mono-red, green-red, and most recently mono-red Devotion and red-white Devotion. There are even some green-white decks that played him because he's just so strong. It takes a lot to be the most impactful card, but Boros Reckoner has everything it needs to accomplish that goal. Even before Theros came out, this was the premier mid-range creature. For 3 mana, you get a 3/3. Okay, fine. Whenever he's dealt damage, you'll fling that damage back at anything you want. That's pretty control-esque. Oh, he also can gain First Strike for 1 mana. The guy's a combat machine. There's very little in the format that can stand toe-to-toe with the Reckoner without losing 1 or even a couple creatures or a bunch of life in the process. Previous to Theros coming out, this spot might have been a toss-up between Reckoner and Voice, but Devotion changed the game. Reckoner is a dream come true for Devotion players. Mono-red Devotion couldn't slam a playset of this guy faster. He gives the deck a ton of Devotion, fights almost anything you want to fight, and creates an immediate need to be answered. He does everything mono-red has wanted a creature to do, and fills its role in a way that nothing else before it could have. Chandra's Phoenix, we love you, but Boros Reckoner is more dangerous. So much more dangerous. The Reckoner tops our list because of his insane value in multiple strategies. He's the cornerstone Devotion engine in mono-red, oftentimes the best creature in any deck he's in, provides immediate board presence, and demands a swift response when hitting the battlefield. There are a lot of great cards to come out of 2013, but Boros Reckoner has been the most dominant since February, and you can expect to see him used until rotation. That I can guarantee. We hope you enjoyed our top 10 most impactful cards in Standard from 2013. Are there any cards you thought should have been here and weren't? Leave a comment below and we'll do our best to respond. Remember, this list wasn't easy to make and we have good reasons for cutting some obvious inclusions. Again, from all of us at the Mana Source, Happy New Year. As always, subscribe below for the latest and most reliable Magic the Gathering information you could ever need. This is the Mana Source, I'm Wedge, thanks for watching and we'll see you next time.